either way, I mean, I think if we decide, the latter two, if we decide that we want to leave electric itself or move wastewater, I think that this ordinance, I think there are some significant things in here that probably need to be addressed, but I'm not sure, I think we have to have a very honest, open communication with city staff and what some of those issues are that they're seeing. And I mean, I've heard about them in different conversations. I know there's frustration. I know there's things that people feel should be done differently or have more control over. But really, I mean, this is a bigger conversation than that. You know, we need to make the decision as to what direction we want to go.
In 2008, when the board was formed, you know, this was written, and it was written based on best information that was present at the time, that they would be gathered and put together, you know, by the staff at the time. At the time it was passed, it was stated that it needed to be revisited after it was worked for a period of time to see how things went. You know, so I think stepping back and reviewing is a good idea, you know, because things have evolved and different things have occurred. Christie's right from the standpoint of having a larger discussion about, you know, how we feel utilities should be run. You know, not saying one way is better than another, but have that discussion. You know, I think it's probably a much bigger conversation than, you know, a line item on an agenda tonight. I think it's it's probably a meeting, its own work session. And I, you know, think maybe that's what we should do is take necessarily. I mean, I think look at the items.
I think we should go ahead and go through the items as Larry, you know, started us off. I know.
But I mean, you know, as far as
there was a
note saying, yeah, I think we, you know, look at I, accounting and financing, what needs to be done there. Look at a section here.
Because I think we need to take
powers of the director under B. Look at those things, and you know, as part of the ordinance discussion, you know, because I get the sense something's going to change as a result of the conversation, whether it's simply modifying this ordinance and moving forward, as one option was suggested, or whether there's a wholesale change. Something's going to change. So I think, yeah, we need to understand where there's concern with regard to the ordinance and how it would be modified should that be the case. But yeah, it is a much bigger discussion.
No, I think we need to go ahead and continue to take the scalpel to the current ordinance and have the discussion from a verbiage perspective, and then because I also think it's a timing issue. Kind of back to Christie's point, I think it's a timing issue with respect to our visioning. If the vision, you know, it's kind of like we're all going to go on a trip here and we don't know where we're going, so we don't know whether we're flying or driving. I think the visioning component of that is going to help us understand the three options that Christie suggested, i.e., you know, bring it back in-house, kind of a you know, Gardner Energy 2.0, or go with, you know, the wastewater and water with electricity. And I think it's a timing issue back to the vision part of it as well. And I personally visited with Bill, and he was most interested in visiting with me and giving me a lot of his time to understand all the way back to 1990 when KCP&L, you know, spoke to the city about purchasing the electric component of it, and so I have a pretty good understanding, and I appreciate all that. But I do think, and I agree with Christie, that, you know, we need to get up to that 50,000 foot level and understand how all these components interact with each other in the best way for the city. And where we're headed
I guess
from a growth perspective.
You know, if we're going to do that, we're going to continue with the line by line. I would suggest that we ask questions in a manner that is not accusatory of malfeasance in the asking of the question.
I agree. That's why I said scalpel, not machete.
So, you know, because you know, speculating that somebody is or isn't following policies in the global sense, without knowing what those specific policies are and what the specific failures to follow are, is probably not serving the discussion.
And I don't think that you're going to find a lot of people that are concerned that people are operating outside of the, willfully operating outside of the ordinance. I think that the reason that it ends up on our agenda this evening is that in 2008 it was crafted and there's obviously some holes in it that need to be addressed. And I think that, Christie brought up 3 different changes, but there's probably a 4th. As you were saying, we don't do anything about it, or we bring it back in-house, or we combine it with water and wastewater and make it a public utility board, like we suggested studying in March of last year, or we
have
I
item 5.
I understand that. But at the end of the day, there's also the chance that we recraft the ordinance and still leave electric operating independently.
No, I think no matter what we do, this ordinance has to be addressed. I think that there's gaps in here that people probably realize today that they didn't realize with the ordinance.
There's clarification certainly that need to be made as far as what are the duties and where and how things are established and what are the expectations with respect to salaries and how they align with other salaries within the city and how rates are established and aligned and where electric fits in economic development, which was a discussion earlier this evening. All of those things I think need to be part of it, and water and wastewater and where they fit within economic development as well.
Which always leads us back to, vision. Even EDC, how does that fit in our vision? How does Gardner Energy cohabitate with that vision?
And how do we all work towards a common goal?
No, absolutely.
Okay. One of the other things that I'd just like to say, Christie was pointing out 3, and I think we've expanded that list to 4, and I know that during the keep or sell debate, there was a lot of confusion among the staff in the electric department. I just want to say really quickly that 3 out of those 4 options basically still have the electric operating under a board one way or another, and the 4th option is bringing it back under the city. None of this has anything to do with selling, or there shouldn't be any kind of concern or consternation on anybody's part that that something is going to happen to electrical workers or electric staff jobs.
Right.
I think that's fair enough, right?
Yeah, we're not here to
Okay.
discuss that.
We're not discussing.
Utility has to be run by somebody, and there's no plan here to sell it.
Right.
It's just,
Understood.
the question is, does the council manage it, or does the board appointed by the mayor? And then getting back to section.
Larry, can I interrupt you? Can you clarify your last comment? Appointment by the mayor? I'm not following you. I've done my history lesson, but I don't remember that part of my history.
I think the board members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council. Is that right?
Approval of the council.
Okay. With the approval of the council, though, correct?
Oh, yeah, there's a
Okay.
vote. There's a vote. Hence the tabling of the reappointment that occurred.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Is that correct? I think. Okay. Section 4, paragraph J, use of utility funds.